just outside the New Forest. So I've driven all the way up to Wolverhampton to visit the David Austin Gardens and Show Gardens. I've also attended today one of their bare root courses. So if you're here in the UK, please do consider making a booking for a bare root rose course. If you're new to bare root roses, do consider booking yourself on a course. They run from the 1st of November all the way through to the 17th of November. It's a really, really lovely way to spend a morning and just refresh a few of the techniques if you're new to planting bare root roses, giving you all of the advice and tips that you need. At the end of the morning, the morning starts with a nice light breakfast, and then when you finish the course at the afternoon, you can either stay and have lunch here in the cafe, which I've done today. I've had a really, really wonderful light lunch and a slice of cake in the cafe and the restaurant, and you get to take home a bare root rose of your choice, subject to availability as well, for you to practice all of your wonderful skills on when you get home. So I thought I would just have a quick wander around the show gardens here, and I've just come through the gift shop, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to turn the camera around. Hopefully my signal will maintain a stream for you. But look, there's still so much colour still here in the gardens. Obviously, it is the very beginning of November now, but you can see Donahue, the release from 2023, still in flower. That plant, I can assure you, will be in bloom all the way through to the beginning part of December. So that one is still in flower. Country Parson, again, still in bloom on the south coast, but you can see that lovely sherbet yellow flower really, really shining through. That's a fabulous pot of 3 plants displayed there. Really, really lovely. Rolled Dahl, again, still producing plenty of flowers, as are the likes of the Lady of Shalott, which only intensifies in colour as we enter these autumn and winter months. Look at the colour of the Lady of Shalott. Really, really still pumping out flowers. You can see it's been so wet here in the UK that 1 or 2 flowers have unfortunately spoilt and balled up. But I'm just going to give you a bit of a tour around. Please excuse me, my signal is really, really weak. So if I do drop out, do bear with me. I'll manage to make sure you get back again soon. So we're just going to head off now through into the long garden, and we shall pass Olivia Rose Austin as we go. As you are aware, Olivia Rose Austin is October's Rose of the Month from David Austin. We're going to have a quick wander around the gardens here. Not the best of time of year, unfortunately, to be visiting the garden, but I thought you may just be interested to have a look. There's lots and lots of work going on in the garden at the moment. This is the time of year that David Austin are shuffling around their display garden. So the big holes are them actually removing soil and removing plants for new planting to come into the garden. So these are areas that are going to have new plants put into them over the autumn and winter months. But you can see there's still a few flowers dotted about, the likes of Emily Bronte, which again, due to my personal review, if you've watched that one, you can see that one does really well in deep shade in my garden. Lovely hips being formed on Francis E. Lester. You can see on the back there, some really, really lovely rose hips. Really, really beautiful. But as we move our way through the garden, again, a rose I posted just a few days ago, Desdemona, which is doing really, really well. It's my second time out with Desdemona. I did remove my first plant. I've given it another go this season. I'm going to be taking a bare root rose away from the garden today, and I'm going to be adding about another 22, 23 roses to the collection this year. But you can see again here in the long garden, several positions being removed, several different holes being dug ready for new roses to go in. The team here, the 3 gardeners that work in the garden here, are actually going to be removing the soil. They're going to be adding lots and lots of organic matter and lots of soil conditioner, and then planting new roses into these positions in the garden. Rosa rugosa alba there, you can see, look at those wonderful rose hips there on that plant, just really, really dripping with rose hips just at the moment. Kew Gardens, still in flower as well, that lovely creamy white single flower from Kew Gardens, really, really smashing rose. Incidentally, if you are interested in growing Kew Gardens, that particular rose will actually also grow as a short climber, which is a really handy note to know. So if you've got a small and compact space and you want something to repeat flower in a relatively small space, reaching around 6 to 8 feet as a climber, only about 4 to 5 feet as a shrub. But if you wanted to actually train Kew Gardens as a climber, it will actually climb. So that's quite a good little tip that you can pick up from me today. So moving our way through the long garden, it's, let's say, looking a little bit like it should do at this time of year, quite spent. Obviously, it's a very difficult time of year, but their bare root courses running from the 1st of November all the way through to the 17th. And of course, there are also rose pruning courses you can book yourself onto here, led by one of their rose experts. I've had Liam today doing our course, which is lovely. Incidentally, if you are interested, I will also be having a very informal chat with Liam over the next couple of hours for the podcast. So Liam will be joining me on the podcast in the next couple of hours, and that will be posted in the next few weeks. You can hear they're doing some work behind the hedge here, but walking around, there's going to be plenty to the show garden over the next few weeks as berry rose season continues. You can imagine what all this looks like actually dripping in flower in high summer through May, June, July, and into August and September. The Lady of the Lake, English Rambling Rose from David Austin Rose, is still in flower now, looking really, really lovely. Thomas A. Becket. This one is one of the few deep red or crimson roses still being produced by David Austin at the moment. So if you are interested in dark coloured roses, Thomas A. Becket is one of the darkest still in production here. Again, a few flowers still being produced by the poet's wife, which is really, really lovely. I do apologise if my signal is struggling. I'll try and make my way back to an area of the garden where I've got more signal, but you can guarantee it's always one of those things whenever you need your mobile phone signal, it's always poor. The Queen of Sweden still also in flower as well. Obviously, that one displayed on the front cover of last year's David Austin catalogue here in the UK for really, really good reason. A really lovely, true, upright shrub rose. Really, really good if you are in a very, very high rain position. For instance, if you're growing in Ireland, that particular one stands up really nicely to the weather. So that's a really good one if you want something tall and dramatic for the back of a border. But you can see there's so much. I'm really quite surprised by how much work they're going to be doing in the garden. So if you've been to the garden before and you don't think there's going to be a huge amount of change, there's a huge amount of change being had. Lots and lots of positions in the garden being changed over and lots of shuffling about. Huge holes being dug in preparation for new roses to be added. Right, we're going to continue walking around and see again Thomas A. Becket. Just as we pass again, he's still in flower. Look, there's a couple of really, really lovely blooms. I'm going to be naughty. Just stretch over, and I can actually show you that flower. Look at the colour of them. Lovely, lovely flower. And again, lots and lots of hips you can see on Kiskate at the back there. So one I reviewed during National Rose Month 2024. That one, the review, is now available for you to watch. Really, really good hips. And that's one of the roses I'm growing for hips at home. So that's a really, really good one. Right. Again, Wisley 2008, still in flower now, looking really, really quite bit tired, but a really good sign that that's a particularly hardy rose reviewed by myself last year. Again, tottering by gently, unbelievably, the room where we've been this morning doing our training with Liam actually had rose hips from Tottering by Gently actually displayed on the tables this morning. You can see, if I turn the camera around again just now, you can see that it's actually still in flower. So producing hips and flowers all at the same time, with even a small amount of buds on Tottering by Gently still to come. So this is why that David Austin have decided to turn back a little bit and not dispatch stock as early as with other years, listening very much to the weather conditions that are going on across the world at the moment. Actually, even here in Shropshire, the weather temperatures are still really quite mild. The roses haven't quite got dormant, still producing plenty of flowers at the moment. So they're not lifting stock really until the first and second week of November, which is a little frustrating from my point of view, because I've been wondering where on earth the stock is, but they're doing it for a reason, to keep the stock back, because it's hasn't gone dormant yet. So they've pushed their calendar of lifting plants back by a couple of weeks just to make sure everything is bang on right season, and stock will be then dispatched from around the first and second week of November. Again, passing other flowers. Look at that. Again, the flowers at this time of year are much, much more intense in colour than they would be if you were in high summer now. So this part of the garden mainly containing sort of species roses and older roses all mixed in with the new varieties. A nice big swathe of Donahue just here as well. We saw that just a second ago. Um, we're going to move our way through round into the Victorian garden, past the large pieces of sculpture. I don't know. We're going to home in on that one. Who is that over there still flowering? That lovely deep red crimson. Ah, it's a beautiful Gabriel oak. Look at that. You wouldn't know that we were in November. Look at those blooms. Such a difficult rose to describe in colour wise. Realistically, this one, very, very deep crimson, almost a fuchsia pink. Very, very powerful. Those lovely accents of silver, grey, and platinum running through it as the actual plant ages and fades. So very lucky with all of these structures here. I must admit, I'm really struggling at home, not having large amounts of walls and things to train rambling and climbing roses up. Obviously, got quite a large plot at home, containing about a third of an acre, but really struggling for space on the walls and structures to actually place roses onto. So lots and lots of three-dimensional planting here, hedges with climbing and rambling roses in front of lots of pergolas, lots of pillars and posts, giving a really lovely three-dimensional look to the garden, which is really nice. And we're just now moving through into the Victorian garden. We'll move through here. This is where this morning, well, no, this is not where this morning. We actually witnessed Liam planting a rose in our garden this morning, which we're going to go and find in a minute. We're going to move our way through the collection here. Right, Buttercup, which we've had, which is a firm favourite of mine at home. It's a really lovely, very graceful single flowered rose. Again, Emily Bronte. Desdemona, again, still very much in flower. You can see those porcelain white flowers there, flanked by the looks of things, Olivia Rose Austin. This one doesn't seem to be labelled, but I'm absolutely positive that's Olivia Rose there next to it. Imogen, which is a really, really not very well heard of white rose, almost sort of a buttery yellow cream. I really like Imogen. If you've got a deep shaded spot in your garden, I would really be quite sort of advise you to have a look at Imogen. Mine at home flowers really, really very well in deep shade. One of the topics Liam brought up today during our course is the colour of growth on your roses. And I get so many questions about this particular topic, especially in the early spring. So many people always very, very concerned by the fact their roses produce sort of burgundy, red, sometimes orange growth, and they think it's suckers and they remove it. When actually, as you can see from the growth here, on Olivia Rose Austin. This is very, very natural for the rose to colour up with this lovely burgundy red. This is really strong, healthy growth. Fern is going to form really nice, strong leaders for next year. So please don't be tempted to remove this growth thinking it's suckers. If it's obviously coming up from below ground level, that's what the kind of growth that's causing you a problem. But these lovely scarlet red tips are very, very normal for most modern rose varieties. The Lady of the Lake, once again there, flowering. This one is on a sort of a little domed obelisk, which is really quite lovely. Wild Eve, still in flower as well. This year's edition from David Austin Roses for 2024, the only brand new rose into the UK market this year, Emma Bridgewater. Rosemore, which was one that was actually reviewed by myself this year. Rosemore, really, really lovely rose. Really, very, very, very delicate. You can see if I could bring that in there. Again, I'm going to have to be naughty. Hopefully, don't get told off. I'm stepping over the fence. You can see lovely little rosetted flowers there. Really, really beautiful. That lovely flushing to the outer edges of the petals. But you can see if I pan around the Victorian garden there, you can see there's still quite a lot of colour. You can see why they've made the choice not to be lifting roses and actually shipping them too early, because obviously this is a display garden, but in the field, things still looking very, very much the same as they are here in the show garden. My number one most recommended David Austin rose currently is Bring Me Sunshine. This is a lovely big bank of Bring Me Sunshine. You can see just one flower there, but still absolutely perfect. Now available as a climber. That's exactly the same plant as it would be if it was a shrub supplied by David Austin. But that particular rose now available, depending on how you train it, that is now a shrub or a climber, which is part of the review that I made a couple of years ago. They're saying it actually got quite larger than I was expecting, and it's a really, really good thing with Bring Me Sunshine because it's an absolute stunner. Moving our way round Harlow Car, which is a fabulous small rose to the very, very front of a border. This particular one reaching around 3 feet, perfect for growing somewhere where you may have a exposed site, so salt winds and strong winds. That one stands up to its all. Very, very high fragrance rating on that one. Incidentally, I'll turn the camera around. That one I posted just a few days ago on my Instagram. That was is one of the few roses I have ever graded with a double nine. Nine for fragrance and nine for disease resistance as well. So that is an absolutely fabulous rose. I mean, it does have a lot of thorns if you can put up with the thorns, but again, the thorns come hand in hand with the actual fragrance normally. This one down here looks very, very much like Vanessa Bell, or it might actually, it's not labelled, it might be Vanessa Bell, or it might actually be Nye Bevan. I'm not sure on that one. I have to find out on that one. But moving our way around, you can see they've started to do a little bit of clearing and tidying through the rose garden. I say, unfortunately, not the perfect time to be visiting, but nice to be up here at David Austin and actually doing the Bare Root Rose course. So if you are interested in booking yourself one of those courses, run here at the nursery from the 1st all the way through to the 17th of November. Again, look at Donahue marching its way forward. Look at that. You would think that we were in May by the look of that particular plant. Absolutely smothered in buds again, covered in bronzed foliage as it does just before it comes back into flower. This particular rose, incidentally, very, very difficult not to give it the number one spot this year. Obviously, I did to be quite open with it. This year, the vying for number one spot between Bring Me Sunshine and Donahue was really, really hard. It was very tough to decide which one to give the number one spot to. But Donahue managing to flower all the way through into December. Look at that in these really, really light. I mean, you can see just how grey and dark and dull it is. Very, very dull and overcast. Still managing to flower really heavily all the way through into November and December, smothered in buds. Look at it. Absolutely smothered. Really, really lovely. That is a fabulous rose. So those of you that are always saying that you miss Jude the Obscure, which has now been retired, Donahue, I can promise you, will absolutely knock the socks off of Jude the Obscure. Has all the beautiful characteristics that Jude had, but has the ability to produce flowers in a vast amount of volume, where Jude only ever really produced a dozen flowers here and there. But again, Donahue, look, here again, in flower, absolutely dripping in flowers, still like it would be at the beginning of May and June, flowering very, very heavily. I'm going to head off over this way and see who we've got over here. Who is this? There we go. That is Elizabeth in bloom just there, next to Penelope Lively by the looks of things, flowering in that wonderful, wonderful raspberry pink colour. Right, we're moving our way back now through the long garden, where we're probably going to wrap up our. I say lots and lots of work happening in the garden. I hope you've enjoyed our little brief walk around the David Austin Show Gardens today. And do consider, if you are local, do make sure that you try and book yourself onto a Bare Root Grows course. Give yourself all of the help and advice that you need to get yourself ahead of next season. There's also pruning courses being run from the very beginning of January as well. Right, I'm going to wrap up things today. I hope that you've enjoyed the live stream and the signal has managed to keep me going. But if it's not, I'm going to film a little video, which I'll post again a little bit later. I hope you're all well. I will see you all again very soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.